Well, good evening together. Let me just turn the music down a bit. I hope you can hear me, because for some reason I can't see my audio mixer. So I just have to fly blind a little bit, but do tell me if you can't hear me in the chat, if you're there. So today I wanted to have a look at a particular system implementation on Foundry VTT, and it's all due to this little gorgeous book that I've received, which is Ironsworn Starforged. And I did something similar yesterday in German, so if you are one of the German spectators, it might not be very exciting for you. Oh, hi Mohammed, there you are. My new microphone, you see, Mohammed. And yeah, I just thought I'd show off and try out what you can actually do with Starforged on Foundry. Starforged is really meant to be a, as it says, a solo game or co-op game. You could in theory play it guided with a GM, but it's also a GM-less game. And you may wonder why you would then use something like Foundry. Well, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of rolling, there are a lot of tables included in this. If you look at this thick book here, it's 400 pages. A lot of those 400 pages come down to tables, which make the whole GM-less thing possible. You get this nifty little booklet here as well, the reference guide. Not sure you can see it there because it will key it out. But yeah, so make it a bit easier for myself rather than flicking back and forth all the time. And by the way, Mohammed, if you've got some dice handy, you may help me out rolling some dice if you're sticking around. So, how does this work? One of the first things you do in Starforged, and actually in Ironsworn as well, is you select, you create your setting, and you create your truths. So when you first initialize the system, you will typically get the dialogue I'm going to show you in a minute, which looks like this. But if you ever need to get back to it, you can get to it via settings and then configure game settings, and you get this button here at the top. So let me close this one out. So we are going to play some Starforged. Character sheet is going to be Starforged. And I want to do the setting truths, generate them for Starforged. Now, one of the things with setting truths is you can either roll them or you can pick them. Yeah? So, Mohammed, have you got a D6 handy? You can help me out a bit. And so one of the thoughts I had was actually to see whether this would lend itself maybe to actually create a setting or to emulate a setting like Coriolis. So if you are looking at the Rimwood Reach, for example, in Coriolis, that could be a really good starting sector. But then you would have to select the truths to fit that setting. But today I just want to show it so we can just be completely random. So one of the first things we need to find out was why humanity left Earth. So if Mohammed, if your D6 is at the ready, roll me D6 is going to be D3 really. So 1, a 2, or 3. Let's find out what happened to the old galaxy. Then you have to post it, of course. And, while we're just waiting for the D6 result to come through, the music in the background is by a chap called Scott Buckley. He makes a lot of music available, copyright free if you like, but you need to acknowledge them, and he deserves it. Some really cool ambient and background music. If it's too loud, by the way, Mohammed, please say. And number 1. So what we have some sort of anomaly traveling through this space, and I hope you can see this on the stream. Basically eating suns, sun eaters. And humanity then tried to say, okay, we need to get out of here quickly, because otherwise, yeah, we'll be eaten and our sun will be eaten and we'll starve of entropy. The question is, why did that happen? I'm going to roll the D4 this time. We're going to share the rolls around a bit. So my D4 is a 3. Somebody created a super weapon, and it's basically gone wrong. That's what started this cascade of destroying the suns. Okay, like 3-body problem maybe, who knows? The next question is, how did humanity escape Earth? So in Coriolis this would be generation ships and then later on gates, but how did it happen here? You're up, Mohammed. 1d3 again. And what's really neat here, of course, you can do this all on paper and with the tables in front of you. But everything we do is going to be logged in a truths file, so we can easily go back to it and we can edit it, etc., etc. So let's see how long the delay is today on the stream. Another one. Okay, so what have we got? The Exodus fleet set off on a ponderous journey, probably taking 1,000 years on the ship Coriolis, to a new home outside our galaxy. The Zenith, I should really say. They marked the Forge as their destination. That's a sector of space. Everybody goes to the Forge first. Countless generations lived on their lives aboard those titanic ships during millennia-long passages, so more than 1,000 years. And when they arrived, some of the ships, basically, some people stayed on the ships, some other people started settling around. And those vessels, the Iron Homes, still sail the depth of the galaxy. You also see that there's a quest starter here, so the bit underneath, basically it starts to give you ideas for your character. And if you look at the paper copy, you also get some character prompts, which I've copied out for later. Don't think I'm going to do characters today, just setting and sectors. That should be enough. So they arrived by generation ships. Good. Now we are here. How did people settle? How did they create communities? I'm going to do D6 or D3 really. And we have another one. Oh dear. So only a few people survived the journey to the Forge, and they were scattered all the way. So it's a thinly settled place. Settlements are often small, starved for resources on the brink of ruin. Hundreds of far-flung settlements are lost and isolated within the untamed chaos of this galaxy, and we do not know their fate. I think I've run this generation 3 times now, and every time this one came up. Oh, not quite. I think yesterday when I did the German one, actually was the second one. But fair enough. Another thing that's important, die at the ready, Mohammed, is the iron. So iron is a central element. It always carries a significant meaning here. And there are vows being made. So you basically make promises and vows, and your honor is bound to the iron somehow. The question is how. So, Mohammed, you may roll. Let's find out what the iron looks like here. Is it little tokens? Is it weapons made from it? What is it? Two. So, humanity swears their vows on totems crafted from the enigmatic metal we call black iron. So they're finding this somewhere in the hidden depth of the universe. And you can still find it in ancient sites throughout the Forge. It is resistant to damage and corrosion, but can be molded using superheated plasma at specialized facilities. So the Ironsworn carry weapons, armor, and tokens crafted from black iron and swear vows upon it. I like the idea of the tokens, I have to say. Little bits that you carry around with you, rather than like a badge, rather than having a big grenade launcher made of it. But let's see. The black iron tokens of special significance has been stolen. What power or authority is bound to this object? Who has taken it? Quest starter. Maybe I'm going to be a sleuth. Oh, hey, Twin Bear. So far, so good. We created a few nice little truths so far, and basically I'm just trying out this Foundry implementation because I'm quite charmed by it, and especially seeing as it's free. But do buy the books; they're gorgeous. Laws. How do laws work? And by the way, Twin Bear, if you want to roll along, you can. Yeah, I might just pass it back and forth between the other watcher on YouTube and you. If you want to roll, you would need a D6, and at this stage right now, it's actually D3s we are looking for. So if you want to join in, feel free. So, laws. What role do laws play here? I think this one I'm actually going to roll. I'm going to roll it as a D3. You can handle that through Google. Dice roller. Good, good. It's another one. So much of the settled domains are a lawless frontier. Criminal factions and corrupt leaders often hold sway. So it's the Wild West, essentially. There may be communities or bastions of successful autonomy, but a lot of it is corrupted or preyed upon by petty despots, criminals, and raiders. Right, so pretty lawless. Okay, that's going to be entertaining. Religion. What role does religion play? Yeah, Twin Bear, do you want to roll for that? A D3? Let me see what happens. And the next one is going to be back to Mohammed. Problem is, the lag means I have to wait a little bit, then I have to drink, and then I'm going to be out of beer all the time. So, thank you very much. 2. Our faith is as diverse as our people. Many have no religion or offer an occasional prayer out of habit. Others pay homage to the gods of our forebears as a way of connecting to their roots. Some idealize the natural order of the universe and see the divine and gravitational dance of stars or the complex mechanisms of a planetary ecosystem. And many now worship the primordials, gods of fallen people who once dwelled within the forge. We'll get back to the primordials in a minute. Essentially the forerunners, the, what do you want to call it, the founders, the very first come, rather than just the first come in Coriolis, or the portal builders. That's the sort of idea. And the quest starter idea, cult seeks to take control of a site reputed to hold a primordial artifact. What holy object do they seek? Why are you sworn to stop them? Can you see some of the echoes of Coriolis on there? I certainly can. Does magic play a role? Mohammed, it's up to you. Does magic play a role in this universe? Just a solo stream today, but you are helping me out, and that's great. 3. All right. Unnatural energies flow through the forge being the sector of space, if you want to call it that. Magic and science are two sides of the same coin. Soon after arrival, some display the ability to harness the energies. Today's mystics invoke this power to manipulate matter or see beyond the veils of our own universe. But this can be a corrupting force. Okay, good. The most powerful mystics are respected and feared in equal measure. Sounds almost a little like Space Simba Room, maybe? So, okay, and the dark side. You can fall for the dark side. There was this sci-fi film, I can't remember where it came from, where there was a theme. Communication and data. So, how do people talk to each other? Is that still going? Is that still running? Twin Bear, are you up for it? Yeah, I actually was sort of inspired to do this by a German stream where a lady created a setting and then played a few adventures, and she invited some partners along, like to double up with her, be her opposite number, do it a two-hander. Could be quite interesting to do. So a 1, communication and data. It's a dark age, much was lost. Knowledge that remains a commodity, as valuable as the rarest resource. Information is collected, hoarded, and jealously guarded. Ships and outposts endure prolonged periods of isolation, and rumors or disinformation are used to gain advantage or undermine foes. So basically all these scattered settlements that we had in step 1, I think it was, or step 2, are not in touch by communication technology. That means probably you have people shuttling stuff back and forth, and you have secret libraries, etc. Good. Thank you. Medicine. Mohammed. What's medicine like here? So far it's been very low tech, it's been very low law, very low communication. So we have to see how that works here. High tech would really not feel right now. Of course the system always tells you to ignore roles that you don't like, that don't fit in. So, orders of sworn healers preserve our medical knowledge. So essentially, it's almost like a religion. Life-saving advanced care is available within larger communities. Okay, but we would have to say probably it's non-technology based. But we have mystic powers, and they are the same thing, right? So that works. So, for example, a quest starter could be that there's a team of healers going out to a nuclear or radiation leak, and they were held up by raiders. What do raiders demand for the release? That could be quite a cool starting scenario. AIs. Do we want AI? Twin Bear, I think you're up. Do we want AIs? Again, it would feel a bit strange to have them. A 3. Sentient machines are with us. Okay. Maybe they are mage empowered as well. Ships, digital assistants, bots, and other systems often house advanced AI. For a lone traveler, machine intelligence can provide companionship. Maybe I should have a companion, AI companion in the ship. And aid within the perilous depth of the forge. Rogue AI, yeah, definitely plot starter. Okay. Let's make some war, Mohammed. Is there war running here? In this far-flung place. Thinly settled, but lawless. Is there war? Is it organized enough to have wars? What is he going to roll? A 1. Here in the forge, yeah, that fits. Resources are too precious to support organized fighting forces or advanced. Yeah, I'm liking this as well, I have to say. Sparks lots of ideas. Advanced weaponry is not really around. So there may be some simple, small, cheap weapons, raiders, etc. That really fits. Good. I think life forms, precursors, horrors, and then we are done. There are 3 more. So, life forms. What sort of life is around here in the forge? I think we are back to Twin Bear. Are you rolling? Is there anybody else who's on the chat? Please chirp up. But I think that's it currently. A 3 again. So life in the forge was seeded and engineered by the Essentia, ancient entities who enact their inscrutable will in this galaxy. They are the architects of life within the forge. Those omniscient beings are rarely encountered and have powers and purpose beyond our comprehension. Some worship them, others resist or rebel against them, but trying to define the will of the Essentia is like standing at the shore of an ocean to thwart the tide. Didn't somebody do that, King Canute? They are inevitable. So. Alright. Interesting genetic scientist here says maybe the genomes of life within the forge are secret messages from the Essentia, from their forerunners. And they're looking for extra samples, so maybe one of the things you could do is be sent out to get lots of samples of different life forms as a mission. Precursors and horrors, and that's it then. Mohammed, tell us, who were the precursors? Where are they now? We had the Essentia already as the designers, the architects, but maybe we have some more. Yeah, with the architects, I can see that you're thinking about the Covenant, Twin Bear. I can see that. It's not necessarily everybody's favorite film, but I can see where you're coming from. Number 3. The biomechanical life forms we call the remnants were engineered by civilizations as weapons in a cataclysmic war, and they survived the death of their creators and still hanging around. So on scarred planets and within precursor worlds throughout the forge, the remnant still guards ancient secrets and fight unending wars. Okay, yeah. That could be tricky. That could be horrible, actually, while you're just going about some tomb raiding and all of a sudden this millennia-old weapon comes at you. Brings us to the last one. Horrors. What horrors abound? Twin Bear, you're up. Yeah, lots of good sci-fi stuff. I was just listening to audiobook, some Ian M. Banks again, a culture novel. I think it's Culture, The Algebraist. Quite good. So, was that a roll already? Yes, a 2. Most insist horrors are unreal. Spacers know the truth. So when you travel the depth of the forge, be wary. Some say we are cursed by those who did not survive the cataclysm, and the veil between life and death is forever weakened. Supernatural occurrences and entities are especially common near the white dwarf star. Many of them. These stellar objects, which spacers call ghost lights, are the decaying remnants of a dead star. So, idea here, an abandoned orbital station under the light of a white dwarf star, and there be previous inhabitants were killed, but now they are coming back from the dead. Ghosts, poltergeists, that sort of thing. So we now have our basic truths. I'm going to hit Save Your Truths, and basically we get this entry here, this journal, which tells us what we have discovered so far. All right. Now, one of the next things you could do is create your character now. But I want to keep the character last, so I'm just going to go into the sector now to create a sector. Now, if I remember correctly, I might have to look at my book. It's, I think, page 120 something. We basically first have to decide where we want to be. Yeah? Are we going to be in a really thinly... yes, very log. That's right. Very useful indeed. Sorry, I'm distracting myself. So whether we want to be in a thinly settled place or whether we want to be in a place which is the hub of activity here or somewhere in between. So what we're going to be doing is, I think we're going to go for the most densely settled, because starting out you don't really want to be in the middle of nowhere. So page 114, if you have a book, is creating a starting sector. Right, I'm going to close this down for now and go to a sector that I created here. Just a little bit of a Starfield background for us. So, managing this sector will take about 15 minutes, it says. We will have 4 settlements. One of the things that comes with the system is a whole raft of generating this sort of content. So on the left toolbar here, you've got the Starforged tools, and you can create settlements. Now, we're going to be in the Terminus region, which means basically this is where settlements first arrived and you've got some good connections. Then the settlements details, and then planets, and then we're going to put them on the map. Doesn't quite work like this. I actually would like to do it the other way around. I think I'm going to do some planets first. Because I think it works better that way. Certainly on here. Question is how many? Generate stars. Let's start with 3 planets, shall we? So, go on here, create a planet. You can see it's the ghost thing first. Double click on it and you get the character sheet, the item sheet, if you like. Is it an actor? I think it's an actor sheet for this. Region terminus is correct. We are on a planet. You can roll here on the side for the planet type. It's a Jovian world, like Jupiter. So I can then say, okay, I want to know a bit more about it. I want to know the atmosphere, the settlements, etc. You can click on them individually, or you can just hit it once, but it will re-roll the Jovian world. So I'm going to go for atmosphere. It's a toxic atmosphere. Observed from space, what do we notice if we look at it? There are severe electrical storms. And I'm going to roll one more. With numerous moons, like Jupiter. Are there settlements? Question mark. There's an orbital settlement. And that's as far as I'm going to go for now. And we're going to give it a name, Nubium. That is pretty cool. Yes, and the best thing, if you close this down now, you'll see what happens. It actually has created a little icon in the background on our map. Yeah, and these are actually in Foundry, but they're also, if you Kickstarter this like I have, you get a backer kit basically, and in there you've got lots of digital assets like this. So it's pretty nifty. So that's my first planet. What did I say? We start with 3. So new planet. And yeah, I'm just going to roll it from here actually. Roll location. Ordos. So a corrosive atmosphere, vast plateaus, multiple settlement. Desert world. Dune. Okay. I'm going to shift that over here. We're going to place them later on. It doesn't really matter how distant they are for the story you're going to tell. And the third planet. So, the third planet. Third rock from the sun. Location. Stratus. Another Jovian world. With no settlements at all. Of course I can just change it, but if you want to roll with it, yeah, then you stick to the rolls, of course. I'm just going to put one more observed from space. And you can see anything I log basically puts the outcome into the journal entry. Yeah, that rock from the sun, a long time ago. Yeah, so we've got 3 planets now. 2 Jovian, 1 desert. Not a great variety, no ice planets here or anything, but let's just put them out here. So, settlements. Now, normally on Terminus, in a Terminus world, you would put 4 settlements. I currently have 1 planet here which has got an orbital settlement. I've got 1 here which has multiple settlements, so I could do 2, I could do, well, let's see what comes up. And then if this one didn't have any, so if I've got 4 settlements, maybe I'm going to have 1 deep space one. So settlements is the next button down and works the same way. So it's a planet-side settlement of hundreds of people with an industrial architecture. And it's called Koshiba. So, which one was it that had planet-side? This one? Multiple settlement. Yeah. And this one had orbital. So I'm going to move it over here. By the way, the Foundry also comes with another couple of icon sets if you don't like these icons. But it's a bit fiddly because you have to always replace them manually. So, Koshiba, first settlement done. So, if we choose this as our starting settlement, we're going to roll a bit more detail about it, so we know what it is. Otherwise, we have to go there and explore it first. So, next settlement. Roll. Deep space. Perfect. That's what we needed. Hundreds of people living there, and we've got this first look descriptor and focus. Now, this is a reference to an Oracle table. Actually, to 2. And I gave myself some shortcuts down here. So I'm supposed to get a descriptor. It's a roll table in Foundry. So if I roll it, it's corrupted. Okay. And I'm supposed to get a focus. What is corrupted? So it's a corrupted structure. Okay, so this settlement here, and I'm going to edit that, has got a corrupted structure of some sort. Right. Now what that actually means, we have to suss out when we get there. But it's a deep space settlement, so I can just shove it off to the side for now and worry about it later. 2 more. Last port. It's an orbital. It's got, again, hundreds. We don't have a lot of people here, actually. It's all just hundreds. With industrial architecture. Okay. Orbital. This one was orbital, Nubium? Yeah. So, and if you zoom right in, you can see that basically the icon is slightly different. You see that there's a sort of ring around the planet there. That shows you that it's orbital, whereas the other one points at the planet, and that's surface. And deep space doesn't have anything attached to it. So 1 more settlement, and it would have to go to orders, whatever it's going to be. And you have to improvise a little bit on this one. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So, again, hundreds. Oh, it's deep space again. Oh, you know what? I'm going to change that. Because I want... What should I want? Another orbital. Half. Hundreds. Precarious location. Why would you be in an orbit in a precarious location? Is it a decaying orbit? Is there something going wrong? Is there something else in the orbit that you're bumping into? Now that's the sort of question that runs off in my head. Now what I mean is, if I put them on top of each other, I will never get it back. So what you can do is you can sort of rotate it around a little bit and say the orbit is actually in this direction. Doesn't quite work so well, but you know what I mean. Can I be in an orbit above that hemisphere? So we now have our starting sector done. Certainly the bits, settlement of the planets. The next thing we need to know is stars. That's optional. I'm going to leave it out just because I don't have any nice icons for stars. If you have any anywhere, please let me know. And then we have to start thinking about the map. Right. As you can see, it's just a star field. Let's say Stratus is unsettled. Let's say that's sort of in between the other two. And last spot and Nubius are over here somewhere, and this stuff is over here somewhere. Stratus is there maybe. So we then need to create passages. Passages are basically a hyperspace route, whatever you want to call it, that make it a bit easier to get from one place to the other. Now, last port and orders probably should be connected. And here in this sort of place, you can have 3 passages. What recommends it? So freehand drawing 1. We probably have a passage to the outer, to the deep space station somewhere. I'm making Ordos my hub planet now. And as a third one, I'm going to take one that actually takes us out of the sector of future. So maybe from here, out of the sector somewhere. That means Stratus is a bit isolated. It doesn't have any hyperspace lanes to it. Now, of course, you can change the colors. I normally like this sort of orange for these passages. So, mark passages. And then we're supposed to zoom in one of the settlements. What do you think? Where's a good starting location for us? We had Ordos here. And what I tend to do is I tend to try and be a bit obsessive about cross-referencing stuff. So we've got the settlement of Koshiba here. This is using the quick insert module, and we've got the settlement of Path in here. So I can just click on it now and say, all right, so we have an industrial planet-side settlement with a few hundred people. Yeah, is that a good starting location? A system with 2 settlements? Or do we go to Hearth, which is the orbital one, in a precarious location? We know very little about it, but we can find out some more. Or shall I put myself further out? For example, I could start here on this deep space station. Or I could start here on Nubium. Last port. All industrial. What do you think? Where shall we start? Opinions. Deep space. Deep space. Deep space. So, for the one we are starting, we are going to roll another first look. Get a bit more detail about it. It's toxic or polluted habitat. Is it the station? Has to be, right? Because there's nothing else there. We need to find out what the settlement trouble is. What's annoying them? Probably it's toxic. Let's see. Mysterious deaths. Oh, might have something to do with the pollution. The atmosphere we have done, I think. Because it's not a planet. And therefore we don't have any planet-side features either. Alright, but I will need to know the authority. Who's running that sort of place? It's an oppressive regime of some sort. And yeah, what else do we want? Do we want the initial contact? Yeah, I can do. We do have an initial network. That's an interesting starting note to MBSS, that it's a corrupted structure with a toxic habitat and mysterious deaths. Great place to get away from, isn't it? Let's have a look. Initial contact. Okay, so initially they're quite welcoming when you come in. Maybe because they want to rob you blind, or maybe they really need people, or maybe they really need ships to get away. Right. So, if that's my starting point, the next thing we have to do is create a connection. And that's basically your first quest giver. Yeah? Yeah, whenever you roll these things together, you initially think it doesn't really go, but then what you need to provide as a creative thing, as you create the glue, but at the same time having these gaps in the story, give you all the space to, no pun intended, to actually fill it with your own ideas. So, and that's where you come in as well, of course. Let's create an initial contact for me. For that, I actually need to create a character, which I have done because I've got access to all the oracles here. And then we're going to create a connection, which are oracles. So these are all the reference tables. Yeah, you can see there's loads and loads and loads of them. Don't even want to open them all up. So we're going to create an actor. There's an NPC. And I'm going to park that over to the side. Now, not pop out. And you can't see it. So, what will we know about them? What do they look like? First look. I need to go to my chat window. So, they're a slight person. I'm going to give it 2 first looks. And they're armed. Slight and armed. Okay. I'm going to put that in here. Where did I have that? Progress. Here we go. So, slight, armed. Right. Collapse that down. What's the disposition? What are they like? They are indifferent when I first meet them. Okay. Indifferent. They probably don't know me from anybody. Adam probably doesn't feature here. What's their role? They're courier. Okay. Interesting first connection. They're courier. What do they want? What do they want to achieve? A 19. They want to defend a person. Goal. Want to defend a person. We can actually roll out what sort of person it is later as well. Revealed aspect 1 or 2. What do we know about them? What can we tell about them? They're kind. Let's do 2 of those. They're kind and defiant. So probably threatened in some way and saying, I'm not going to put up with this. Slight and armed, indifferent to me. Kind and defiant. So that's my first connection. And we have a role. We have a rank. Now, the rank is basically when you're trying to build a relationship. Actually, when you're trying to achieve anything in this game, you've got these progress bars. And depending how much of a challenge it should be, there are different ranks. You can see that here on the NPC window, under the eye, you get these bubbles. So troublesome is the easiest. That means whenever I mark progress, if I click on here on the progress bar. Hang on, I need to save this first, I think. Okay. What should happen is it should tick 3 bars, but if you make it harder, you will see that... Oh, well, that's not working. Oh, I have to tick that. Then it's 2. If you make it too hard, for example, if you make it really, really epic, and you mark 1 progress because you actually did something good, you only get 1 little line. And that is pretty harsh. So for the first starting character, it recommends here that you go for dangerous or troublesome. So make it a bit easier for you to influence them. So I'm going to go for dangerous now. We need a name as well. Name. So we can have a given name, a family name, and a call sign. So given name. Let's roll this, unless you want to give me one. 50. Kyla. Or Kayla. Family name. Sato. Kayla Sato. And the call sign. 49. Jackal. Kayla Jackal. Okay, it's just about the same letters, isn't it? Yeah, so you've got the Y, the K, the Ale, and the Ale. You can just about spell Jackal with that. So it's a pun, sorry. A letter transposition, an anagram. So we know the goal, we know the first look, we know what the revealed is, we know where they're at home. Where did we say it's called Anubis, isn't it? So I can go in here and say location, or home at least. Anubis. No, it's not called Anubis. What is it called? Apogee. 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 The furthest point in the curve, isn't it? So, got that linked in. And that is pretty much it. So the next thing we would have to do... Oh, there's one thing left. One thing left I forgot. We have to find out what the trouble is in the sector. So every sector you go to always has an underlying story trouble. What is it going to be and where am I going to stick it? I'm going to put it in setting truths. I hope this is the right lot. Yeah, I think it is. So I'm going to put an extra page on here and just say sector trouble. And then we can roll. Do you want to roll a D100, one of you? If you have a D100 on the table, or maybe you have it on Google. A D100 for the sector trouble. What's going on? A 10. Bounty hunters are searching for an infamous fugitive in the whole sector. Okay. Hunters are searching for an infamous fugitive. These are not the droids you're looking for. Right. So, I think that's probably where I'm going to cut it for tonight. If you're interested in finding out more, maybe next time I should then do the character creation and maybe do the first steps in a sort of mission. Would you be interested to see more? Do you want to try this out yourself? Have you got this on pre-order? Yeah, Starforged, as I said, or Ironsworn Starforged. Probably doesn't pick it up. I always have to look at my camera to see whether it keys it out or not. It is a really lovely book. Yeah, the artwork is good. The support is great. It comes with tabletop audio if you want to use it, and with a very generous license to use any of these assets while you're running it on YouTube or whatever. It's really, really nice. Yeah, you know, Ironsworn I have picked up ages ago, but I have not actually done anything. And I just thought, don't know why, but I just felt like I wanted to scratch that sci-fi itch currently, and more than the fantasy one. When that came out on Kickstarter, I just said, you know what, I'm going to get it. I'm going to give this a go. But yeah, if you wanted to follow this along, if you want to maybe make your own character and join in the fray and do a two-parter at some point, or two-hander with an opposite number, it might be much easier. Then do let me know. Yeah, you're both regular watchers, so really appreciate it. But I'm going to tune out now, and I'm going to chill for a few minutes before going to bed. So, yeah, your thoughts, even if you're watching this later, your thoughts are always welcome. And I'm sure there are people who say, oh, that's not how you're supposed to use this Foundry system on with Starforged. Please, if I miss stuff, like the obvious stuff, then let me know, okay? Because that's how we all learn. Right, chaps. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to sign off. I haven't got a character yet, otherwise I would call myself, I don't know, Commander something, like in the good old Elite days, signing off, and wishing you a really, really good evening. For now, bye-bye.